I'm often asked what my favourite season is, and if I'm truthful, my answer is invariably whatever's coming next. I know everyone thinks of summer as being the best time for vegetables, but actually I think the slightly limited palette of winter makes it much more creative and much more fun. Because I work in kitchens where you're constantly surrounded by food, but you also have to be very light on your feet, I don't like food that makes me want to fall asleep. I like food that feels peppy and wakes me up and is bright and enlivening, which is why I tend to eat a lot of salads. Domestic life is pretty much entirely focused around the children and family, and as a result, lots of it takes place in this room here, our kitchen. More often than not, cooking is a very jolly and communal activity with lower standards of organisation, but probably a few more giggles than in a professional kitchen. Being someone who works consistently quite hard, quite long hours, you give a lot of yourself necessarily to do this job well. And so when I get home, the sense of privacy and sense of solitude that I get, not from being alone, but being isolated with my family, is wonderful. Melissa, my wife, is an amazing cook and loves cooking for the children. We kind of fight over it. What's fun about it is they love getting involved. They love jumping and climbing up on the counter and helping me stir things in the stove. And they're very, very engaged with food. It's just they don't seem to particularly enjoy eating it. I was very greedy as a child. I did become fussy, but I never lost that sense of just wanting to kind of stick everything in my mouth. I've always been very, very greedy. And my grandma Arabella, who was an amazing food writer, we'd spend at least one afternoon a week with her. She'd make us delicious, very simple food, but we would be involved in the process. And it was very fun learning to cook with her in her kitchen. My other granny, who lived in the country on a farm, was a phenomenal cook. And she taught me to garden. She gave me a little patch of earth when I was 5. The first radish I ever ate was a radish I'd grown, and I didn't like it at all. I thought it was absolutely revolting, but I can still remember it. I now eat tons of radishes. I'm at my happiest in the kitchen. I started cooking seriously as a teenager when I was going through an awkward phase and a complicated relationship with the people around me who I loved but didn't know how to express myself towards. But I found that if I cooked for them, I didn't necessarily have to talk to them, but I could still kind of express my affection. I love cooking because I don't really have to talk to people. I can just be in my head and do something lovely, thoughtful and expressive for them without necessarily having to give any more of myself than I feel comfortable with. I find a busy kitchen environment one of the most calming, relaxing places for me. To cook well and do a lot of things at the same time, you almost have to switch off any kind of narrative or conscious part of your brain, and you exist in a kind of very highly oversensitive state where you're listening, you're smelling, you're hearing, you're looking, but you're not really conscious of any of those things. It's kind of almost like a fugue state where you're hyper aware without being aware at all. People always ask me what I cook when guests come around. I'm like, oh God, whatever's in the fridge, whatever's easy, because I'm not there to impress them. I want to just cook something and sit and, and catch up with them because they're my friends. I love them. I do suffer from that kind of malady that lots of professional food people complain about, which is that no one ever invites me for dinner anymore. But I like to think it's because I'm a cook. It might be because I'm a terrible guest.